Ronald Dale Barassi. There was no bigger name in football. Come to think of it, some 40 years on, there still isn't. When it was announced that the six-time Melbourne Premiership captain and two-time Carlton Premiership coach was coming out of semi-retirement to take the reins at Arden Street, we were stunned. We had won the wooden spoon 3 times the previous 5 years, and to be frank, we're quite terrible. There was a new look administration prepared to have a go.
We got to the stage where I was just ready to resign from the board at 34 years of age, and it was at that stage that the current president stood down, and a couple of guys from within the club came to me and said, well, we've got 2 positions going. You can either be the president or you can be the coach. And I didn't think about it for too long. I thought with my dental practice involvement that I wouldn't be able to spend an enormous amount of time as being coach of an AFL club. But so I said, well, if I'm going to do anything, I'll be the president.
And then there was Ron.
I want you to go out, do a lap, and then I'll throw out the balls and get as much kicking and ball handling on the wet deck as you can.
I would never go to a club where I thought I had no chance. I mean, it's a hard enough job anyway, let alone going to a hopeless situation.
The advent of the short-lived 10-year rule was a godsend to North. Ron Joseph with Aylett and Albert Mantello stepped up Barry Davis from Essendon, one of the game's greats, John Rantel from South Melbourne, and the big sourpuss from Geelong, Doug Wade.
Sharrock puts his boot in, it's a long one, it's in the goal square, there's Wade once again, couldn't mark it, he's got it, he kicks it.
People say we bought players, well, we did. Now, you can't win premierships without players.
Davis had been captain of Essendon and had 3 best and fairest and a couple of premierships to his name.
I went for the challenge, and that's true.
Mopsy Rantel was captain of South Melbourne at the time.
We clearly identified Davis and Wade, and we went hell for leather there. And Barassi got Norm Smith to come along as an advisor to Arden Street with him. And Norm Smith sold us the virtues of John Rantel, so he became the 3rd target.
One night, Alan Aylett and Ron Joseph lobbed on my doorstep out at Springvale North where I was living, and they came in the room and sat down and said, look, we've got to finalise this. Is there any inducement that we can offer you that would make you sign on the dotted line now? And I said, oh no, I said it's just a matter of time. And with that, they opened a briefcase and they pulled out this great big wad of money, which was actually $10,000, and they threw it across the room to where I was sitting on a couch with my young son, Bradley, and it bounced off the couch onto the floor, and he thought it was a football. He ran along and picked it up and said, look, Daddy, can I kick it? And I was just so stunned, I didn't know what to say, and it was probably their smooth way of saying, well, hurry up, make your decision.
And Doug, well, he just happened to be the greatest goal kicker Geelong had produced, was captain and had been leading goal kicker 11 times.
And there's one on the board already.
Talk about leadership skills. Barassi's a placid grandfather these days. Back then he was Mr. Fire and Brimstone, a snarling brute of a thing who made life miserable for anyone with a modicum of talent, like myself and Malcolm Blake.
I got no idea what he was like because I didn't train for the first 4 years when he was there. But by all reports, he was pretty good. But
there were some others who jumped on board. Kids like Wayne Schimmelbusch, John Burns, Mick Nolan and Darryl Sutton.
Right into the teeth of goal, right to the square. Up high was Wade and Nolan. Nolan comes out with the ball. Hooks it.
No, I was reasonably fit. I did a lot of training. I certainly didn't have the build that was ideal for football, but as far as aerobic fitness goes, I was fairly fit and did do a lot of training in those days, certainly compared to most of the other players. I was training 7 days a week, so I was fairly fit, even though I probably didn't look it to most people.
And the next year, the club got the Magarey medalist Malcolm Blight from Adelaide, Big Brad Smith and wooed Barry Cable back from Perth. He was a good coach, Barassi, but in fairness, the bloke had a fair list. In 1973, we got to know each other, worked on the Barassi game plan and missed the finals by half a game. Fast forward a year and we were primed. North finished second on the ladder and knocked off Hawthorn in the qualifying final, and the preliminary final for the right to play Richmond in the grand final.
He's playing it. To Kekovic, he's got it.
The Tigers in those days were the yardstick, a mighty team under Tommy Hafey who would outlast us and take the flag.
It's a good kick, it's a goal. Andrews can't pick it up. Peterson's got it.
Keith Gregg had won back-to-back Brownlows, upsetting the Tiger hierarchy no end. But one of the highlights was Doug Wade, becoming the first North player to reach the ton. The first man to kick 100 goals with different clubs.
Very poor because we were beaten by bloody Richmond, that's why. And my memories weren't good about that. You know, we thought we were going to win it. It was a big thing with Barassi, and this was going to be our year. We struggled to get in there. They thrashed us in the second semi-final, and of course in the grand final they beat us again.
And of course you only needed a couple to top the ton and become the first North Melbourne player to kick 100 goals.
Yeah, I did, and I kicked 2 goals, yeah.
So it was bittersweet.
Bittersweet.
For Barassi, the result was not what he had in mind, and the summer that followed was one of the toughest ever seen by the seasoned veterans at Arden Street. 1975 would be North's 50th year in the VFL, and what a way to celebrate.
I think it was one of those things that you'd read all these stories about grand final players and the pressure and the names that they got from playing in the final. So probably in my mind, when I think back now, you're probably a little bit underdone for it in some ways. And yeah, but it was just the build-up, and I'd never been through anything like it. You know, 10,000 people at training on the last training session, all that. It was just a phenomenal time.
And they've been a bit dangerous. Oh, it's a long kick by Sam Kekovic. It's a beautiful kick. Eyes a go now for North. There's Blight going to the goals. He fires. And a goal. Oh, there's a dangerous one. Oh, 5 goals, 6:36. Hawthorn and North Melbourne, 10-2. 62 points.
Rollings takes his kick, tries to steer it in towards the centre. Nolan's there. Big fella goes up in front. It comes down to Keith Gregg. He drives North into attack once again. The Hawthorn defence trying to stand firm, but Kekovic! Oh, blazes away and puts it through. Cable here to Dench. Dench has his hand pass intercepted, taken by Cable. Over to Henshaw. North backs under pressure again as the ball gets up to the wing position, taken by Malcolm Blight. It's on the southern or outer side. Blight going for a run. Eventually kicks in here towards the forwards for North Melbourne. Brightest with the ball. Oh, he's in trouble. Oh, he's lost it altogether.
And there's a mark to Stimmelbusch. A long kick by Stimmelbusch into the goal square. At the back as wide as they go. A goal. He's got it again. A goal away. That's his 3rd goal. Umpire says players count this down. And they're not begging any pardons at the moment as the ball goes back and a mark to Blight.
Malcolm Blight is now on the back line. Oh, too high, I'd say. It's a hard way to get it in a 15-metre penalty. Well, Hawthorn can see the trouble they're in. Players arguing with the umpire, in this case Desmar, as Blight comes up. The kick, it's going to land in the goal square, a chance here, no mark. Wade comes in, he's got possession, loses it. Wade is still going, he tries to get it across here. The ball pushed out the Cable. Cable, the left foot snap, it's smothered by Jaworski over the line. There'll be a hot time in our old town tonight. There's the bounce. There they go. Tuck gets a tap down. Cable gets it. Cable kicks it forward. Jones knocks it out of danger. But in comes Burns. It's taken there by Arnold Brightus. Brightus screws it around. It bounces. It's another goal. He's kicked 3 goals, Brightus. Gumbleton from the half-back flank. Hand passes to Cowton. Cowton gets it across here to Malcolm Blight. Malcolm Blight gets it down into the forward zone once again. No mark. Chance here for Burns. He's going to be tackled by Welch. A long hand pass to Arnold Brightus. Brightus steadies. He shoots at the big ones. And there's another one. That's the 4th goal to Brightus. As he come home with a burst in the last quarter.
North Melbourne have this grand final wrapped up. Down she goes. And there's a free kick. Someone's gone over the line. A free kick to North Melbourne. It's all North at the moment. North are well on top. How many minutes we play?
22 minutes gone.
22 minutes gone, and North Melbourne just about ready to fly that flag. Their first ever as the ball goes deep to attack. Up towards Wade and Bremner. Pushed away, grabbed by Burns. Over to Shimmerbush, another goal. Oh, they're streaking away. That's his second goal.
There's Barassi. Look at him. He's cracking it for a smile. His first smile in weeks. Here's Barry Davis driving that ball forward for North. Deep into the forward zone once again. In comes Feltham. Feltham into an open goal. He couldn't miss. And there's another one. This is a pretty long quarter. In they come. It's North Melbourne through Chisnell, getting that ball to the half-forward flank on the northern side of the ground. Trotters after it. There's the siren. Siren's gone. North Melbourne's first ever flag. And the final scoreboard now reads, at the MCG in the 1975 Grand Final, the final scoreboard reads, North Melbourne 19-8, 122, Hawthorn 9-13, 67. And just have a look at these scenes. Louis, you can't help but feel elated.
Barassi, you've got to give him full marks, a marvel. Of course, he asked for special stipulations when he went to North Melbourne. He wanted players, and he got the players, and he's won the flag after, 3 years with them. A tremendous performance.
You know, in the Hall of Fame now, there are a number of players being admitted, and out of that team, that one team in 75, there are 8 people in that team that have made the Hall of Fame. And when you read the names, you know, the Davis, Wade, Rantells that we talked about, you've got Cable, of course, the champ from Perth. You've also got Schimmelbusch, Greg. I was fortunate enough to be in it, and Brass's coach. So I don't think there's any other team in the history of the game that's got that much notoriety.
And now here's the victory lap. Marvellous scene.
It was a great last quarter, and the euphoric state after was just sensational.
Congratulations.
The old people seeing us win our first premiership in 75. Going back to Arden Street that night, being introduced on the back of a semi-trailer, seeing the people who had been following the club for 75 or whatever, how many years, it was just fantastic.
It was magic, it really was.
Has it changed?
Oh, well, the first is something special. Not many people in the modern era can claim that joy.
First.
Hawthorn 61, Footscray 54 and St Kilda 66 and North Melbourne 75. All the other famous clubs had their go a long while ago at the first. But I can remember going back to the social club afterwards, and I'd been pleasured in grand finals myself before, and I'd been spoiled in that regard. So my greatest pleasure that night was watching the old supporters, 50, 60 and 70-year-olds, just
dug down
the pleasure. Oh, those people too, but they were just beside themselves, and they were saying, if I die now, it doesn't matter, sort of thing. It was absolutely magnificent.
All right, we're going to play the match against Richmond now, a team that we love playing, and who loves playing us? In 1974, they completely wiped the floor with us in 4 matches. Today. Come on, fellas.
Last year, we returned the compliment beautifully. So 76 between the two clubs could be a crossroads situation.
Yes.
Which is going to be the club that dominates the other? I believe it's going to be us. I believe because I'm in my 4th year with you, and I just could not believe that you haven't taken some notice. You'd be under no misapprehension at all as to how I want the game played, but what's more important, I believe you know and you feel the way football's got to be played in the modern 70s.
The title defence didn't go to plan. Hawthorn would be a major hurdle at any time in those days, and so would prove in 1976.